What's up, girl?
Hola, familia.
Hi.
This is Edith.
And this is Yesi.
Welcome to another episode of LloronaPeroChingona.
Yes, girl.
So, how's it been?
Well, I feel like my life isn't very exciting. Aside from all the things I have to do this year, but I watched the eclipse, just like almost everyone else who Diaz let them.
Yeah, that's true. Tu tía te dejó ver el eclipse because mine almost didn't.
Not us at 26.
26?
I'm like,
29. Girl, you are not 26.
I feel 26. At 29, being told by our tias not to go outside.
That's so funny because I had all my nieces and nephews at the house, right? And they were ready with their glasses y toda la cosa to get ready to watch the eclipse. And then llega mi tía, she's like, métanse ahora mismo. Like, ustedes que van a estar viendo eso? They were so sad because they were ready to see this one in a lifetime experience. And then she's like, no deben de estar viendo eso, eso no está bueno. I'm like, is it?
Pero who said?
Dude, Mexicans.
Girl, I had called my mom like a few days before, I think, or last week or something. And she's like, ¿qué vas a hacer durante el eclipse? And I'm like, no sé, why? And she's like, porque esas cosas son malas. And I'm like, but why? And she's like, yo no sé, yo he mirado en el TikTok y en el Facebook cosas que están poniendo del eclipse. I'm like, but what? What are they saying? She never told me. I'm like, ¿pero qué? ¿Qué es lo que te están diciendo?
It's like that telephone game que lo miré de no sé quién y lo miré de no sé quién. And I was just like...
And now all the tias have all this information that we don't.
But it was nice. I mean, it was really cloudy here in Austin. Well, from our house. Was it pretty cloudy for me? I know you live like still in Austin, but it's more north. Yeah,
it was cloudy, but we were able to see it. There were some moments where the clouds kind of got in the way, but I have pictures. It was nice. And
I think just the experience of everything going black was pretty cool.
It was. I think
that was just like, wow.
I actually didn't let my dogs out into the backyard because I was like, what if they look up? They're gonna go.
That's so funny you said that because I watched this TikTok that it was like making fun of like people because you're supposed to put red on like everyone. I don't know if you know this, but apparently there's this thing that pregnant women also like have a higher risk with eclipse too. So like wearing a red ribbon around their belly is like preventing any kind of damage to the baby. So you do the same thing with animals, like with your pets, with chickens, with like any kind of animal that you have in your plants.
Did you do that?
I didn't. But
are they still alive?
They're still there. Hopefully they'll continue thriving
now.
They're just
they're just evil plants.
But I was reading more into this TikTok that this guy was saying that his grandma had fruit trees. Tenía árboles de durazno and like other bunch of fruit. And there was an eclipse and they didn't take care of it like by putting a ribbon like or something like that. And they didn't give it like it didn't give them any kind of fruit for like 3-4 years.
Whoa.
So then I went more diving in. I don't know if you guys do that, but once I go into a TikTok, I go into the comments and then I go into the comments and then I go like so then one of the comments was saying that apparently like the rays or like the whole thing that the eclipse causes, it like burns the tree some certain way.
Okay.
I don't know. But I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. But a red ribbon will protect you from that.
You're gonna laugh at me, but I wore a red shirt during the
Don't come at me, okay? Don't come at me. Well, in astrology world, which is kind of where I live most of my mind lives in for the most part, in that spiritual side of it. The eclipse fell in Aries this year, and essentially what that says is that for a lot of people, they're shedding a lot of their old beliefs. And that's why you might feel like really tired because a lot of energy is coming out. And so
makes a lot of sense.
It's the better things are coming, or like better, I guess things that you wanted to achieve before are going to be easier to achieve now because of those beliefs have been taken away by the eclipse. It's like a rebirth.
I should have been like, take off my bed.
I kind of was. I was like, quítame la duda, quítame like the low confidence, like just take it all. I don't want to feel this. This isn't something that's meant to be in me. So I kind of did a ritual with that. And then, but I didn't let my dogs outside.
I can get everything. I can go cross-eyed or whatever, but not my dogs.
But not my dogs. not my perritas. No. But that was very interesting. And then like I was texting my brother during it because he's like, is it the eclipse already over there? Because he was in the valley. And I was like, no, not yet. And then he's like, mommy's putting like foil on the windows. And I'm like, seriously? And she's like, yeah. My little brother wasn't even able to go outside and watch the eclipse because it's bad.
Did he go? Did your brother go watch it?
No, because my mom wouldn't let him.
I bet it looks so nice out there though, because it's out in the country, so like there's no buildings or like that many trees around it to let you.
There isn't. You're right. It's the perfect spot to look at the eclipse, but no.
Oh, that's so. Ay, mama.
Ay, mama. Ay, mommy.
Ay, mommy. Well, hope you guys had a great experience watching the eclipse. I mean, it's once in a lifetime. I think they said the next one is going to be in 2 years in like Alaska or somewhere over there.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's interesting. But you guys should share like the stories, like what your tias heard about the eclipse, because I don't know what people are saying, and I need to know what people are saying. Maybe not, because then maybe I'll get scared.
Yeah, don't share.
But share. But share, because I really want to know.
No, yeah.
So, Handel missed the Saturday takeover. What happened?
I don't know, Handel, share.
Handel, do you want the microphone? What happened, Handel?
No, it was so funny, dude. So it was Saturday. We did nothing this whole weekend, this past weekend. And it was Saturday night. And then he was like, oh shit, I was supposed to do the takeover. And I was like, oh yeah, you were. Then he was like, pero como quiera ni hice nada. I just cleaned.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, you can do it tomorrow.
He could have done Llorona Pero Chingona Goes cleaning talk. Like, you know, clean talk. Or even just like going like around and doing a time lapse of the cleaning.
You could have done a Scrub Daddy commercial.
Ooh, Scrub Daddy could have sponsored us. Why do you use Scrub Daddy for most of your cleaning? No.
Yes, we do.
No, just the Pinol, the Fabuloso. You should have done a commercial for Fabuloso.
But this coming weekend, hopefully our next person doesn't forget. It's just that,
who is it? Annabelle?
Annabelle, yeah. I mean, I feel like my takeover last time was really interesting.
It was.
It was fun.
It's just like for people who don't post that much, like it's kind of hard to start posting more and to like even make it appealing.
Appealing? It doesn't sound right.
Appealing?
Appealing? It sounds kind of funny. Oh, bueno.
Whatever.
So I know we're talking about a bunch of random stuff, guys, but so Bad Bunny's coming to Austin and he's not selling any tickets. It's kind of like, do you think he lost his touch?
I think Kendall
le quitó el charm.
Yeah. I think Kendall le quitó el charm. I think maybe like, I think Kendall was like the end to his like big era, like the Bad Bunny era. Like there's no Bad Bunny era. Like what was it? 20 no.
Well, we went 2 years ago.
Yeah. What was 2016? What?
It was 2022.
Yeah. That was great.
That concert was really nice. I mean, hopefully, if he's not selling any tickets, this means that he go a little cheaper.
I'm hopeful, dude, because I would like to see him again. I haven't really listened to his new album though.
I like it. I think, I mean, his music is really good. I don't have anything against him. I just feel like people are just like, like, hmm. But I've seen TikToks where he comes in a horse at his concerts.
Well, isn't his like album like Most Wanted or some shit like that?
Yeah, I was saying.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be fun to watch. And I feel like here at the Moody Center, like it's a really good venue. I don't if you guys haven't been to a show at the Moody Center, you need to go.
Moody Center should sponsor us.
Yeah, you need to go. It's like a really nice venue where it doesn't matter. Like if you have nosebleed seats, you will still get a good spot.
Oh, nosebleed seats?
Like if you're like at the very, very top.
Oh.
You still get a really good spot just because it's so like no sé cómo explicarlo, pero you still get to experience a really good a good show, even though you're not.
Who did you see at the Moody Center?
I've seen a couple of people. Dos veces.
Dos veces. Well, that is a couple, Edith.
Yeah. A while, when was it? Last year? I won tickets to go see Harry Styles, so I saw Harry Styles. And then I went to go see Raúl Alejandro. And that's it.
Oh, that's right. You did go see him.
Yeah. Raúl Alejandro is like chef kiss. Zorritote. He just performs really well.
Oh, is it that?
Yeah, he's a great dancer. He sings really well.
His face also is nice. Yeah. He's also nice to look at. He's also nice to look at. Yeah.
What else? What's new?
What's new? Oh, I'm trying to start reading like birth charts. like the astrology birth charts.
You said it earlier and I was like, birth charts, like birth certificates, girl. You just read the name and like date of birth and the doctor's name. Yeah. But birth charts.
Yeah. Like, like the circle, it has like where all your planets are in your birth chart and what signs and stuff.
Oh, kind of like what that app does for you.
Yeah. Yeah, but to be like more personalized, like ideally I would want to use this with adult clients that I see as like a therapist. This is something that I would like to incorporate and do more of like woo-woo once I take off and stuff. Because it'd be fun. And then I could also do it as like extra income. Like all you lloronas and chingonas can hit me up and I'll try to birth chart.
Is that considered holistic work?
It's considered spiritual work.
What's holistic work?
Holistic work is more focused on
like meditation and stuff.
Just like mental well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being. It's holistic in the fact that it like encompasses all the things. Yeah,
you learn something new.
But they have a tendency to be a lot more natural things. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I feel like us wanting to learn new things, like you want to learn this birth chart reading, and then also I'm trying to challenge myself. I walked the Capital 10K last weekend and here in Austin. And the last time I did it was like 6 years ago and I ran the race. It was mostly like running / walking.
Wait, how many miles is a 10K?
It's like 6.2.
Ooh, 6.3. Girl. Okay.
Yeah, my feet were killing me.
Yeah.
I was like, what was I thinking? But I was telling my therapist, shout out to Veronica.
Shout out, Veronica.
I was telling her, I was like, I enjoyed it so much because I felt so good knowing that I just walked all of it. Like I walked it with my sister and my cousin's wife, and caminamos todo el rato. We were dying, but we made it. And I feel like now it's like a challenge to myself of like building my, what is it? Your stamina to, is that how you say it?
Endurance?
Like
cardiovascular?
My ability to run. To learn, like, how to run it properly next time. Because I feel like that takes like a lot of training I didn't know how much commitment and training goes into running. And the first
Wait, let's backtrack. Didn't you take a running class in college? Bitch.
It was a
What do
jogging
you
class.
mean?
It was a jogging class. It wasn't running, it was jogging. There's a difference, okay?
Okay. Okay.
And
So you're wanting to run this race, not jog it.
yeah, like I wanna like feel confident
Like
enough.
Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah, kinda, yeah. The first person who finished the race on Sunday, he finished it in 30 minutes. That's 6 minutes the mile.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got some long legs then.
I don't even see pictures, but that's amazing.
That is amazing.
That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm gonna do that next year, but I mean, I want to like run it where like I'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Thought that my boyfriend finished it in an hour. He did it good.
That is good.
He was running, so
we should do it. We should do it.
It's fun. I recommend it. I think it's fun, and it's a really family friendly race too. Yeah. Where there's people of all ages running it, like little kids, kids in strollers, old people, like not old people, older. Yeah.
Well, maybe we can do that one, and then we can do the Spartan race.
Is that where you like get muddy and all of that?
Yeah, you like climb stuff. Like Kurt and I were actually talking about doing that one this year, and then I looked into it, and there's like 20 obstacles that you have to like go through. Yeah, and I was like, no. That is scary.
Annabelle and Becky did that one year.
Really?
Yeah, they said that it was so much fun. I think it's like a 5K, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about 3 miles, but 20 obstacles that you have to like swing yourself through and like jump on.
What is this? What's the name of that show?
Survival. No, thank you.
Yeah, it'd be fun though. Have you ever done a color run?
I haven't done no runs. I have done no runs at all.
I did a color run with my cousin, like a lot of like muchos años atrás. It was so much fun because you were like all white, like white shirt, white pants, white everything, and then you're just running and people are like spraying like paint all over you.
That sounds fun.
It's so much fun. It's a 5K too.
Yeah.
We should become runners.
That's Kurt's dream.
For you to become a runner?
Yes.
So he's comes from a running family. Like his family, they're the kind of family that they run on Thanksgiving.
Sorry for the face.
Yeah. So
you have to like.
I have to like.
But who's gonna cook the turkey?
That's what I said. I cook the turkey all the time, so I feel like
I should stay home. That's funny. I mean, maybe I can run some fun runs, but I don't know that I would run the day of Thanksgiving. I don't cook the turkey, but I would still want to stay home.
But I mean, I get it. I think it'll be fun to like, not fun, but it's like a motivation of like, I'm gonna get this run and go stuff myself with turkey and all of these things. So you don't feel less guilty for having seconds or thirds. Yeah.
Well, if they were to be serving turkey at the end of the race, that would be way better.
Yeah, that's true.
But
they had a beer at the 10K.
That's nice for you guys. For you beer drinkers.
I think they had mixed drinks too, but since we finished so late, we didn't get anything. I mean, I feel like if you're one of the first ones to finish the run, you get like all these goodies.
Okay, so for like runs, do they really like wait for the last person to cross the finish line?
For what?
To get through the race. Like, what if it's all day? Like, what if it's?
I mean, there was a lot of older people running on Sunday, and by the time that we were leaving, they were already cleaning up, and the streets were open. So I don't think there was really no one that took that long.
Yeah,
which is amazing. I don't go.
Hey,
but going back, focusing, focus. Today we have a very special guest, like we always do. She is gonna talk to us about educación and education. If you didn't understand what that meant, she is a great friend of us now because yay, she's so cool. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy her episode.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy her. Let us know, give us feedback. Yeah. Bye. Hi, guys. Please help us welcome our new friend and host of Coffee with the School of Social Worker podcast, Angela Montijo. Angela attended USC to receive her master's in social work and is currently working with a nonprofit in Austin, Texas that focuses on helping incarcerated youth with self-efficacy skills.
What up?
Yeah. Hey, Angela. It's been a long time coming.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes.
How do you feel being
I'm
here
good.
with us today?
I feel good, like en familia. Yeah,
No,
it feels good. Yeah,
that's our goal. Okay. So, Angela, where are you from?
Okay, girl. So, but I already told you I'm gonna rant. So, okay, the where are you from question. I say very specifically I'm from pre-Starbucks, Inglewood, California.
Okay.
And I say pre-Starbucks because it's common knowledge now that like anytime you see a Starbucks is like the beginning of gentrification. Mm-hmm. So I want to emphasize I'm before then. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the Inglewood that I grew up in is not the one that was on the Super Bowl. What was it, like 2-3 years ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wasn't that. Yeah. But yeah, I'm very proudly born and raised from Inglewood, California.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and you're here in Austin. Mm-hmm. How long have you been in Austin?
3 years, since October 2020.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you heard the joke of Texans be like Californians.
Oh yeah, all the time. They don't want us here. And whenever I introduce myself to new people, I'm like, I'm California. I get it. I'm part of the problem. That way, I'm just like get ahead of it.
Get over it.
Yeah. But it's been a big thing, like hearing like, don't California my Texas, and I'm like, yo, calm down. It's not that deep. Like migration is a thing all over the place. So yeah. I get it. I'm not wanted here. That's all right.
No, well, we want as an Austinite, born and raised in Austin, we want you here.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're wanted here.
Trying.
Yeah. So tell us about your first gen experience. Any struggles with school life?
Oh yeah, so much. So I was again born and raised in Inglewood, California. My household was made up of my mom, who was an undocumented immigrant from Guatemala, and her 2 sons that she brought from Guatemala. So yeah, my dad wasn't in the picture, so that was like already a strain. And because we only spoke Spanish in the household, when she enrolled me in school, I was like already marked as like as an ESL student. Mm-hmm. So that was weird because I was like, I don't know what this means. I'm reading books in Spanish at school and other kids are reading in English. Like, what is going on? So that was weird. And then I moved out of ESL, I think it was in like 6th grade. So yeah, for that entire span of time, I was marked as like an other kind of kid. So yeah, what else? Yeah, I think also like the other thing about being from Inglewood is that I grew up around a lot of Mexicans specifically, and like around a lot of Black people. So like I've never literally never have met another Guatemalan, Puerto Rican person. So that's like a super, like I've felt very distanced from that. My mom was an orphan as well. So like I have no ties to that part of the family. And then the Puerto Rican side, like I don't have ties to that either. So I'm just kind of like, I'm of the people. Like I'm just brown. Like I don't know. It's just like question marks all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was like really confusing. And now, like if and when I speak Spanish, people are like, you're Mexican, because I sound Mexican, right? But because those are the people that I grew up around. So it's just kind of like ni de aquí ni de allá.
Yeah. You're like a pull that took a word. Like you're like,
yeah.
I don't know where to go.
Right. Yeah. So
it's so interesting because at the same time, like being part of the Latino community, you feel connected in some way. Mm-hmm. But then also like when I hear also like even within the Latino community, it can be so different within the different countries. And so that not knowing kind of like more of those roots can be hard at times.
Yeah, so I've been trying, like, little by little, trying to like reclaim the identities that like have been like stripped away. But yeah, it's been interesting. Like, I recently met a large part of my mom's, like, I guess technically he's my stepdad, his side of the family, and they're all from Guatemala. So, you know, when I went to the trip in Canada, they were all just like, you know, speaking in Spanish, and I'm like, this is a different kind of, what are they saying? They're speaking so fast, and like, I was having a hard time keeping up, and then they were referring to me as like a white person, because like I didn't fit into
Their mold.
So I was like, oh my God, make it make sense. Like, I'm literally just trying. So
that's so confusing.
That's where identity crisis comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, I consider myself as a Latina, but then when you hang out with your family who is from Guatemala, Mexico, Puerto Rico, wherever they are from, right? You're like, am I?
I felt like a real weirdo, just kind of like sticking out. And you know, at that time I still had the pink hair. It was more pink then, but they were like, what are you about? Like, what is going on? So interesting.
It sounds interesting. I mean, I definitely resonate with that. Like, I think for like a lot of first gens, especially when you have family that practices more traditional things from your country, there's this like fine line of like, you're one of us but not really, or like not to the extent that we are. And I think that makes us feel, well, I know in my experience it kind of like makes you feel left out of it.
Absolutely. There's also like a really big divide between me and my brothers, for example, because I was the only one that was born here, and so I have citizenship, and they grew up without that. So by default, I was like my mom's everything. That's why I say like I've been social working all my life, because like I was the translator, and this is just like very common for the first gen experience, like to be sort of like parentified in that way. So there was a big divide between me and my brothers, like from the jump. So, you know, that even like getting educated and like having these degrees or whatever, like has been held against me. But that was like the thing that they wanted, like my mom wanted from me. So I'm like, make it make sense, bro. Like, come on. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I'm just out here trying.
But that first gen experience of like being the translator, it reminded me of this meme that I saw. I was like, can I put on my resume that I've been a translator for 20 plus years? I started when I was 6.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was like, cause my mom, she was a janitor like all my life growing up. So she started like a small business. And by the time I was like 7 years old, I was like writing contracts on computers, like didn't even know what I was doing. But she was like, well, you know English and this is what you go to school for. And I'm like, I'm learning division. Like, what? What are you talking about?
The trust that our parents put on us, like doing that shit at like 6 years old is like bizarre.
Right.
Like, Oh, and then also the frustration when you don't know how to translate something. That's what gets me, like, how do you not know?
Like you said, you go to school for this, and like,
this is not what I'm reading about, Ma. Like, I'm reading like Little House on the Prairie. Like, what are you talking about? Bro, like, calmate, like, I don't know what to do. So it's really frustrating. Like, even now, my mom will call me. She like depends on me for like booking flights, for example. And I don't know, there's this airline called Avianca, specifically like tied to Guatemala, but their website is a mess, like just a disaster. So then she'll be like, I need you to find a flight that's like specifically this thing and that thing. And I'm like, okay, well, they don't have that option. And she's like, well, figure it out. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, and then I'm like immediately regressed back to like 8 years old, where I like couldn't figure out. I'm like, I don't know what to do, bro.
That regression.
So it's I'm actively working on it.
No, I can definitely get that. So tell us about your career. How social work
Yeah, so like I was saying, I feel like I've been social working all my life. But now I work specifically with incarcerated youth. So I've been working in education for, I don't know, like almost 10 years now, in different capacities. It started with like after school work and as an undergrad student with like the Boys and Girls Club, and then after undergrad I went and taught English in South Korea. So I was like, that was my first taste to teaching, and I was like, that's not it. I like education, I don't like doing this though. So then I moved back to California, and I was working as a college access counselor, working specifically with first generation students on DACA, to get them into college. So that was like an interesting thing. And then I went to USC, and they had a specific track for school social work. And then I was like, okay, this is what's like making a lot of sense for me. This is what I want to be doing. And then the pandemic happened. I got laid off, and schools were already opened up here in Texas. So I was like, okay, here we go, another move. So then I was in school social work for 2-3 years here in Austin. And then I was like, I just can't do this anymore. In April of, was it 2022? 2022, it must have been 2022, that I got diagnosed with lupus. And my rheumatologist at the time was like, you are very prone to like flare-ups because of stress. So we need to take a hard assessment of like your lifestyle, what it is that you do. And I was like, well, my job is bringing me a lot of stress, like being in an environment that's like so, it was a lot. It was a lot going on, a lot of noise, a lot of people. So yeah, I knew that I needed to like part ways with school social work proper. So now I say that like my work is school social work adjacent, because I work with incarcerated youth, and inevitably like they have been pushed out by the public school system. So that is sort of like my niche now. So I really, for me, it's like about youth justice and youth autonomy, and I'm trying to give back the very things that like were taken away from me as an adolescent, like my voice, my choice. So yeah, I really care about what I do. Yeah.
You're like the fairy godmother.
No. Ni tanto, nunca.
I think that's so powerful. I think something that I currently see like a trend in, at least for the people that are in the field, like, you know, social work and stuff,
Yeah.
and like help, you know, provide like services to others, is very much like, I want to be what I needed when I was a child. And I think that's so powerful to like give that to someone else.
Yeah. And it's not like, I've been also working on like decolonizing my approach to care work. And so learning a whole bunch about like the importance of consent, the importance of voice and choice. And so I don't want to be here and being like, oh, well, I'm here to help, because not everyone wants help. Not everyone needs help. It's like, so that's where I get into education of like, as long as I can extend some sort of knowledge to youth, because then they have more language and more clarity about the things that they're going through, to like make better sense, and then from there make the choices that feel right to them in the moment. So yeah.
See, when one door closes, another one opens. And it's crazy to think that I feel like your type of work and any kind of work in the community, it's very powerful for the community, but it also is very draining.
Oh yeah, for
very
sure.
Draining.
Yeah.
We were talking about this morning too.
Yeah.
How working with the community can be very rewarding, but also can be very like
And I also have experience with school social work, so I know how demanding it is, and how like limited services can be for the amount of people that there are that need help.
Yeah.
You know, so that brings a lot of strength, and like props to you to be able to say like, this shit ain't working for me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like, I mean, you created your podcast based on the school social worker experience, and like to have to take a step back is like super brave and like putting yourself first.
Yeah, it was definitely a hard decision to make, and it didn't help that, you know, at the time I was like making a lot of just thinking about all these things, all the moving parts, and I had cast a pretty wide net of like, okay, I'm just gonna see what's out there, and I didn't anticipate getting a job offer like midway through the school year. It was like February of 2023 that I got a job offer for my current role, and I was like, well, damn, now I have to like disrupt these relationships that I have with students. And I know like the impact of, you know, building those relationships and feeling so close to someone at school, and that feeling sort of like a safe haven, and then poof, she's gone. Like that felt really awful to me, but you know, like it just had to be done. So I struggle with that a lot. And I say this very often on my podcast, that it's awful that school social workers are the only one of their kind on an entire campus. Maybe there's like 2, tops 3, but that's about it on like a huge campus. And so it's so easy to like get lost and be inundated with the work and like the demands and the needs of students and their families. And you know, here in Austin there aren't enough resources to go around, so it's like constantly that like dilemma of like you want to do more but you can't because there's not enough access to things. So it's like this constant like pull of well damn, like you can only do so much. So it's really like it's a lot of disappointment. Yeah.
And I think that has a lot more effect. I think when I reflect about my experience in being a school social worker, I think that had to do more with like my burnout of like there not being enough resources for these families that I care about so much. And to know that like I'd be going home to a meal and to a home, and to know that like my kiddos weren't, was like devastating. Like how does one live with, and so I get you though. It is hard. It is hard.
Very.
Yeah.
Well, and you've talked a lot about education. And when we met, we were talking about education when we met virtually, but has education always been this easy for you?
Oh girl, no. Oh no. No, absolutely not. I would say that education has not, like, the traditional sense has not like been easy for me. Like I said, I was in ESL for several years, and then oh my god, math has always been like a thing. I've always struggled with that. So you know, that was really difficult. But the areas that I strived in were like in middle school. The only thing that kept me in school was choir. So like having that outlet. The choir teacher like noticed something in me, and he was like, you know, we're gonna make you better, and we're gonna like improve like the skills that you need. And he was like constantly offering me like solos and stuff, so that felt really like special to me. It was like, oh my god, I'm important, you know. So that felt good. And then I went to a really tiny high school. So another thing that I didn't mention was that growing up, one of my brothers was like gang involved, and my mom, seeing all the things that he was like getting himself into, she was like, well, I have this daughter, and most girls who come from Inglewood end up pregnant. I simply refused to let that happen. So she sent me to this like tiny high school where there were like no outlets, no arts, no like sports, anything like that. So I had like a very sort of different high school experience. But at that school, it was the first time that I took a class on sociology, and I was like, oh my god, like finally this makes sense. Like I had language to like understand what I was going through, because something within me was telling me like, yo, Inglewood is like not normal. Like what is going on here? Why are there like bars on the windows, and why is it that we can't wear the color red? Like there were things that didn't make sense to me. And then finally the sociology class like made it like lights come on. And at that time I had no idea that like college was a thing. And the sociology teacher, he went to UC Santa Cruz, and he was like, oh, let me tell you about my experience. And I was like, oh, that's cool and all. He's like, are you gonna apply for college? And that was the first time anybody had asked me that, and I was like,
Wait,
no.
how old were you at this point?
I was like 15.
Wow.
Yeah. That was the first time anyone had ever had a conversation with me about college, and I was like, no, my mom has a business cleaning and I run her business. That is what I'm going to do. And he's like, well, okay, but here's this other option. And he just like gave me information. And so that for me is like, education is information is liberation, right? Like he didn't tell me to go to college. He wasn't expecting that from me. He was just like, here are some other things you can do. So that was really life-changing for me. And then so then I went to UC Riverside, and that was a shit show kind of because that first quarter of school I ended up on academic probation, and I was like, I am not meant for college, like what the hell is going on? And some of the resources that I was plugged into, aside from like the psych evaluation to make sure that I didn't have like some sort of learning disability, I ended up getting diagnosed with ADHD at the time, but I also got plugged into the Trio Scholars Program, and that's like all about the first generation experience and like that community and support along the way. So if it wasn't for supports, I don't think I would have made it. Yeah, so that's been a big thing for me. Yeah.
I think it's amazing that there, within like just grade school in general, there were these like key people in your life that like really made an impact on you that like maybe at the moment you didn't realize, but like now in hindsight you're like, shit, like these people really took their time and saw me for me, and like were really able to instill in a way like these beliefs that like there is more out of this.
As corny as it sounds, it's like the reason that you showed up every day.
So props to those teachers.
Like, they were the reason, and I tell it from my experience too. Like, I had those teachers that I was excited to go to their class, and I was just like, call me teacher's pet or whatever, but
it's those relationships.
I love it. And but really though, shout out to those teachers who maybe they don't think that they're making an impact. You are. Yeah. You are.
Yeah. And that's why, like, I think living proof of that, I now know that, because I mean, I think in social work, there's such a pressure, a burden, a desire, whatever it is, to like make a massive impact and to see the change, like, like inmediatamente, right? Like to see it right away. But we never know, like we're in the game of planting little tiny baby seeds. Yeah. And who knows what's going to happen? You just have to have faith that like, you've made an impact in some way, and it won't be with everyone. It might just be with one person, and it takes just that one person to like then ripple out. We just have to have faith in that.
Because look at you, somebody made an impact on you, and now you're making an impact on other people.
Yeah, that's the hope.
So it's just like a chain of impact.
Yeah.
I agree. And it seems like the way that you learned, and that it seems like the way that you were able to learn and kind of like expand your mind into these was through education. Like out of these like concepts of like the world isn't just how I see it right now, like there's more to it than this. And what a calling to even have that point of view as you're growing up, like this shit ain't normal. So I'm in a way, now that you have gone to college and you're there, how has education, I guess, expanded more of your point of view of the world?
I mean, I would also say that like, so social work school didn't seem that difficult to me because this stuff makes sense to me, and I enjoy writing, and I really, really enjoy reading. So I think like the bigger part of it is, I mean, I can only speak for social work. We have to go through such an extensive process of like assessing ourselves, and like there's nothing like I went in with such a like inflated like, oh yeah, I already know this stuff, so whatever. And then my professors, they would just sort of, read me to filth. Like, it was just like my professors, my field, my practicum instructors, like everyone around me was so dedicated to having me see myself for who I really am, rather than like showing up and performing or like trying to fit a mold. They're like, you just are, you're specific in these ways or whatever. But it's a hard process, and I don't know that everyone is like open and willing to go through that. There's like, I noticed a lot of peers around me, like they would be resistant to feedback or instruction here and there, and they would get really upset when they wouldn't get like the automatic high grades on their essays or whatever. But like that genogram practice, oh my god, having to create a genogram in social work school. And like,
explain what a genogram
oh
is?
yeah, oh sorry, my bad. So a genogram is essentially like a map of your family history, and it's like, it's like a family tree, but it goes even deeper than that. It's like who has died and what have they died from, what have their experiences been like. So for me, it's like a lot of history of incarceration, a lot of history of substance use. There's been suicide in my family, and like all that type of stuff. So then I'm sitting here thinking like, well, how the hell did I end up here? Like, why is it that I'm like the only one in my entire family to be getting a master's degree? Like, how, like, make it make sense. The formula does not add up, because if the math is not, it's simply not mathing. Like, ¿cómo pasó esto? Yeah. So I don't understand. So that was like a really hard practice to be like,
it also makes you assess like the quality of the relationships that you have.
Yes.
Because you within the genogram, you have to put like, is it like a turbulent relationship or is it like a healthy relationship? So it really makes you assess what kind of relationships you have.
That's right. Yeah. So that's one of many things that like that happens in social work school. And then it's like, oh, well then now obviously you have to take that into like a therapeutic relationship. And so it's I don't know where I was going with that.
So sorry. But you were saying that within social work school you have to really assess, and like doing the genogram is part of that, and like just really diving into yourself more, into like your values and like what life is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then the other thing about like the education piece of it is like I kind of already had an inkling that things were really messed up in the world, but taking a class on like incarceration itself, I'm like, oh my god, this goes so much deeper than anyone can even conceptualize. And it's like all these sort of systemic pressures around us that keep us within these confines. So I think like, I've come to terms that I can't like fix all the things. I can just try my hardest to like prevent harm within my relationships, and that is like what I've committed to, because that's the only thing that I can like sort of control. Yeah.
So how have you brought what you have learned to like working with the kids now?
I think there's also another thing when it comes to like professionalism, there's very little space for lived experience. And I sort of like, I take that and I punt it out the window. I don't want that, because my lived experience really comes out when it comes to working with youth. They can sniff out bullshit like no other, and you like they know when someone is like performing or not being in their authentic self. So I know that like my experience dictates that wasn't going to work with them. So I was like, okay, I'm doing more work trying to like be someone and then go home and be my authentic self. So I've just sort of made it so I just show up like as one across the board, and they're really receptive to that. I'm not afraid to like sort of be cringy or make an ass of myself in front of them, because they're like, I'm trying to mirror like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not know all the things. It's okay to sort of just show up as yourself. And so that's been really interesting. And for me also is like believing what they tell me, you know. There are a lot of adults that I came across that like didn't believe what I was experiencing. They would like ask me questions around like, is that how it really happened though? Are you sure? I think you're being a little sensitive, right? And for me, I'm like, no, like tell me, I believe you. I believe every word that's coming out of your mouth. And like, what can we do with this information? So yeah, that's just sort of my approach.
I love that. I feel like you're building that trust, that like, you know, rapport with them by your lived experience, but also by being unfiltered. Because I mean, I feel like you said, how are you going to build a relationship with someone by just changing who you are?
Yeah, and I think like professionalism adds this like added barrier of like power dynamics.
Yeah.
And like for youth, especially youth who have been like incarcerated or who have struggled with like adult or like enforcement of things, like authority, like that is gonna add like an even bigger barrier in creating a relationship with them.
Yeah, that's a big thing in my space. And I appreciate you mentioning that, because for me, I'm like, obviously I named the fact that like we are different in age, but in the space that I cultivate, like I try my best to stray away from power dynamics. Like I give everyone the opportunity to speak, or if they choose to not speak, that is okay too. You know, and I don't like really believe in rules. The only thing that I say, like especially a big thing is like cussing, for example. They're like, Miss, can we cuss in here? Can I say what I really want to say? And I'm like, as long as you are not like putting yourself down, putting others down, or like intentionally harming others with your words, I don't give a fuck what comes out of your mouth. Really, truly.
Yeah.
Like I just don't. And they're like, oh dang, you know, oh dang, and then like it goes on and on from there. And like they're brilliant. They're like really so brilliant. And I'm about youth empowerment. Like that is like the number one thing for me.
Yeah, I love that.
I love it. Can you be my teacher?
Thank you.
Oh, I love it. But I just know that, and now as, like you said, the world is hard out there, and education itself, you're raising these kids too. Like, you know, it's a big role as an educator, and you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm also like kind of hyper aware of the shit that they're going through. Like, you know, we as I think I'm assuming millennials, like we're all millennials in this house. We were given a world that was like a little bit hopeful still. Like we were told, you know, there are a lot of advances in technology, and there's like room for growth if you go to college and all this stuff. Like those were messages that we got. Like they're not getting any of that.
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to go to college, because they see the amount of debt that we're in, and we're always complaining. Like their teachers all around them are like constantly like in a chokehold financially, because they're like, gotta pay this debt and I'm not getting paid enough, and all this information is available to them on TikTok, you know, and like there's a reason that it's like on the way to getting banned, because it's an information center, right? But also, oh my god, like I personally did not grow up with a phone. I got like a Kyocera brick phone when I was like 16 years old, and so social media was not a thing for me. I can only imagine the pressure, the sort of shame that they have to deal with on a daily basis, like living in a social media world. Wow, that is next level.
Not only that, but also what it's doing to their nervous system.
Right.
Like that shit is like constantly like just giving them, and even for adults, like it's giving us that constant like hit of dopamine.
Yeah.
And like then what does that result in? Like a constant need for dopamine, especially for these nervous systems that aren't finished developing until you're like 28 years old. So that's wild to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like sort of the context that I bring. So that's why it's so also very important for me to create a space that's like accepting and open and sort of like free flowing, co-created, because I know that they're not getting that in other spaces. So yeah, it's really important to me.
Well, I think they're so fortunate to have a space where they're able to be themselves and that they're wholeheartedly appreciated and have that unconditional regard for them, because that's something that not everyone experiences.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I know we're talking about education a lot in how like that's your field. What is one thing that you have learned about yourself by valuing education?
Ooh, a whole lot. Let me think. I think like the going back to what I was saying about voice and choice. You know, one of the first memoirs that I ever read was called The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. And that was the first time that I had ever experienced like the power of like reading someone else's story and really holding space for it and like witnessing sort of their life as they want to tell it. And like that is something that I really want to do. Like that is like a big dream for me, is to like write a memoir. Because like I want to be able to tell my story the way that I want to, the way that I know it and my truth. And that's why that's super important to me, to extend that sort of grace to the youth that I work with too. But yeah, something that I've learned about myself is like the value of voice and choice, and like, you know, I feel very empowered by other writers that I've read, you know, like namely Bell Hooks. Like reading All About Love changed my damn life. Reading Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown changed my damn life. I'm now reading, I literally have it in my bag, it's called How We Show Up by Mia Birdsong. And these books are just like, they're expanding my mind in ways that like I haven't been able to resource in other areas. So you'll always find me like reading, always find me writing. Like that is sort of the outlet. And because I firmly believe in like telling my own story in my way, and I think education has given me that gift.
I love it.
It's beautiful.
I wish I had that love and passion for reading. I want to, don't get me wrong, I want to, and then like hearing you say all of these things about reading books, I'm like, I love it. I wish I was like that.
Yeah.
But
there's a book for everyone, I can promise you that.
Can you send like any racks?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So all those books, I'll make sure to make a list of them and just put them on the description. That way people have access to them. Because I think those would be great reads. I haven't read them myself, but I trust your your opinion.
God,
the title
so
already
good.
sounds.
I know.
All About Love. Like I read that. I co-facilitated a reading circle during the pandemic. Because you know at that time everyone was so isolated and sad and like just like depleted, and then here comes Bell Hooks All About Love. And I mean it was a book that it's been around for quite a while, but like to read it, and it's all about the very many ways that we can show up in a loving, caring way in our romantic relationships, platonically, in our family, in our community, in faith and spirituality, like all of these different realms in our life. And I can simply go on and on.
Yeah.
That title and the one that you're currently reading are like interesting.
Yeah.
How to show up for people, is that how you said it?
How we show up.
How we show up.
Yeah, and I think it's reclaiming family, friends, and community. And I really like it because the language is like, I'm only like 60 pages in, and so far there's like, you know, the concept of like the American dream, which is a big deal for first generation experience. But like what we often don't talk about is the way that like the American dream is also founded in like isolation and hyper independence. And so because of that, we like lose sight of ourselves and our connection with others. And so the book really is like using sort of generative language to help us connect. So it's saying like, yeah, that's all true, and what do we do instead?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like rebuilding that community that we need.
Yeah.
Because that's where of connection. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite questions.
Yes.
What makes you a chingona and or a llorona?
Okay. I've really been thinking about this because I'm like, which one do I fall into? I feel like it's a little bit of both. So crying is super, super healthy. I love it. I love to cry, and I often cry. My mom growing up, she would call me Llorona because she would just be like, just frustrated because I was like so sensitive. And now I'm like, joke's on you, it's a good thing. And then like chingona, like also influenced by my mom. Like she was that bitch. Like she would just always like figure things out and nothing would get in her way. So it's a little bit of both. And then now I'm like an amalgamation of it all. And I think like I also want to add like Vanessa gave me this word, peleonera, is like the one that I really resonate with. Is like, it's a little bit of both, you know. I've actually never been in a physical fight myself. I'm very afraid of violence, but you'll always find me like challenging systems and like the powers that be. If I ever hear someone say like, that's just how we do it, I'm like, it's not the way we need to be doing it though, because
Yeah.
is it? You know, so I'm always that person. Are we sure about that? Always questioning, always challenging, debating. Yeah, that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you.
Now, with our very last question,
Okay.
any advice that you want to give out to any first gens out there who are in education or trying to go into education? What do you want to share with them, or just in general?
Yeah, I would say I wish I heard this when I was young, like as a first gen. First of all, I didn't know that first gen was a thing until undergrad, until I was in that TRIO Scholars program. So I wish I knew about that identity first or sooner. And even on top of that, I would say that like as a first gen, you don't have to be the things that like are expected of you. Like you have the freedom and the capacity to do whatever you want, and it is okay. It will like maybe ruffle some feathers here and there, but like ultimately it's your own life. So you write your story and do the damn thing. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Angela, for joining us today. Hope you had a great time.
I did.
Anything else you want to add, Yesi?
No, I think it was a great conversation. I've loved you since I met you.
Thank you.
Me too.
I feel so comfortable.
Oh, I appreciate that. That really means a lot. Thank
I
you.
really did. You have like this very welcoming
But like, you know, in
Oh,
familia, like in familia.
yeah, like bien a gusto.
Oh,
Like I feel
thank you.
I don't know, sometimes with my guests I feel so far, I mean, I feel like I'm very social, so I get along with everyone. But with you, it was just very smoothly.
Thank you.
I feel like I've known you for a while.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Maybe in the other lives.
No, that's probably true. No, I believe in that. Yeah.
But I guess remember, guys, que
Aquí sí lloramos.
So cute.